we did it. Okay.
We did it.
I'm
Wow.
just talking to the void right now.
I know.
But
So was I. I was just on for like a solid 2 minutes talking to myself.
well, we figured it out. It's very nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we've been fans for years here at Backstage. Congratulations on your return to Broadway. It's very exciting.
Thank you.
What have the last few weeks been like for you?
It's been extremely exciting. Also, just a reminder in how difficult this medium is.
Yeah.
I love the fact that like Broadway, you can't really fake it, right? So there are no double takes. There's no nepotism. Like you can't really even get a job based on who you know or who your cousin is, because you really have to have the chops. And that's one of the things I love the most is the mutual respect between shows, between artists. Nobody works harder than like a Broadway dancer, in my opinion. Like I bow before them. So yeah, it's been really fun. It's one of those things that like the emotions are very heightened right now, obviously after the shutdown and with like everything people have gone through pandemic wise, and like how badly I think we all just need art. So it's like regenerating energy to do the shows is a little bit more taxing than I think before. I'm also out of practice, so yeah, it's been fun. I'm excited. I'm really happy.
Yeah, and the emotions are there. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be in a few audiences since the reopening, and obviously the emotions are there for the performers, but I feel like everyone in the audience too is just so eager to be swept up in it, so enthusiastic. Absolutely. Do you feel that when you're on stage?
Yeah, I also feel that when we hear, okay, this is your 5-minute call over the speakers in the theater backstage, and then they're like, we're gonna have to hold the show because the lines, like, they've had to actually push the show back a couple minutes multiple times now because, you know, obviously checking vaccination cards and checking all those things requires a little bit more time, but just like that the lines are insane and people are so hungry for Broadway right now, so it's palpable for sure.
It's an exciting time, yeah. Now tell me about how this opportunity first came about. Was it something that you landed during quarantine, or was it a plan that you had prior to the shutdown and now it's coming to fruition? What was the timeline for you to play Roxie?
So interestingly enough, I had been speaking a lot in my regular life, probably since like 2019, about getting back on stage, getting back on Broadway, which is like very much my first love. And I think it was time, because after On Your Feet, my voice had suffered a lot. I was like, my work-life balance was completely off. I had a little bit, you know, of a moment, and it was learning, right? Growing. I was really young when that happened. I moved to New York with my face all over New York. So I had to kind of recalibrate for a minute. And then when I was physically ready and kept feeling myself just be drawn back to the stage and back to Broadway, I started talking about it a lot, and like with my team and with my friends, family, whatever. And so the ball had kind of started rolling, and I had started auditioning again for stage and was in some final callbacks literally when the shutdown happened. But none of them were for Chicago. None of them were with the Weislers. None of them.
Okay.
So cut to beginning of August, when I got back to New York about 2 months ago, which is wild, from shooting Night Court in LA, I got a call from Ben Coleman, my theater agent, and he was like, you have an offer to reopen Broadway in Chicago. And I was like, are you sure? Because I've never auditioned for Chicago.
Right.
He's like, no, we're sure. Like, it's like, at first he was even kind of like, wait, what? Because it wasn't something we were pursuing. So it was a very unexpected universe thing. And I met with Walter Bobby at Columbus Circle, who's the director. And he asked me which role, Velma or Roxie. And I had about 24 hours to decide. And that was on a Friday. And I started rehearsals that Tuesday.
Wow. Okay. So a whirlwind, but also such an awesome opportunity to literally be part of the reopening movement. I mean, it's such a moment in time.
Yeah, exactly. And so I felt very like, it's a really big blessing. You know, obviously the entire theater community has been shut down, not just Broadway. We talk a lot about Broadway and about Broadway reopening, but, you know, regional theaters, tours, all of the performing arts, all of the amount of artists who have been out of work and who have been really, really suffering, because it's not even about having the jobs, right? It's about just the fact that there's a hope, that there's you can wake up and say, oh, I'm at least going to audition, put myself out there. You know, I think about students who studied theater and then are in the city working, whether it's in the hospitality industry or at gyms, whatever. And that dream, we can't let that die. And so, like, I think a lot about, like, people who haven't had their break yet necessarily on Broadway, but all the off Broadway stuff and, like, all of that. So, like, just being part of the reopening for me is very much like a love letter to the artist community at large. Yeah.
I love that. And in general, I know that you have been fortunate enough to be working here and there over the last year and a half outside of theater. But how have you been kind of keeping that creative well full? How have you been making sure that your instrument is tuned for a Broadway return after so much time off?
So I had started running, mostly out of like frustration and just like fear that we all have had, obviously, during this time, and all the uncertainty. With the gyms closed, I felt myself like really like just feeling very restless in my own body. So I started running, and that was hugely helpful for like my mind. And I would give myself voice lessons. I studied voice in college. That's like my actual degree is actually in opera, in vocal therapy. So I was giving I was trying to make sure that I didn't lose myself completely. I think I'm really glad, actually, now it's interesting looking back at the little breakdown that I had after On Your Feet and my like mini identity crisis, like kind of quarter life crisis. I'm glad that happened before this pandemic, because then I kind of had already, like, I kind of started at like level 3. If like life is Mario Kart, like I was already past a couple levels. Like, how to deal with craziness.
Right, life is Mario Kart. I like that metaphor.
Exactly. Everything comes back to Nintendo.
Yes.
But I was training my voice just on my own, and just being ready, just in case, because I was like, well, never taking any of it for granted again. And I don't know. I mean, it's honestly, when I tested for younger, which was when my first job during the pandemic, this was in October of last year, almost a year ago. I remember just being like, I need to do something, because my entire sense of self, especially as like a successful person and like a person who you do get to do what you love, like being in that position already is such a privilege, right? And we learned a lot about privilege over the last year. So so thinking about like, what does it look like to not take that for granted and just to be ready and to stay ready rather than have to get ready. So just throwing myself out there, and a lot of Zoom auditions, and which at first it felt so icky, and just trying to trust. So started working in October, was shooting in Brooklyn, and that was October through January when I was shooting younger. And then things started slowly, as the city started opening up, and as like, you know, the vaccines came out, like, again, that hope kept growing, like that window almost got like more and more real, and where you could be like, oh, there's something tangible that we can be at least striving toward. But I definitely accredit younger and just the Darren Star universe to getting my kind of confidence back up as well, and giving me something to wake up for, because before that, I mean, it was rough. It was rough just having there was just nothing to do, and no hope, and that's kind of what we live off of as artists. You always got to find the silver lining, and I mean, look where we are now. So we're at least the light's at the end of the tunnel. I won't say confidently that we're on the other side of it, but you know what I'm saying. I know, trust me. I mean, even this news last night with Aladdin, about like the cast of Aladdin.
I saw.
They opened on Tuesday, and last night had to cancel the show because of COVID among the company, and that's like wild and scary.
I mean, it's always going to be baby steps forward, a couple baby steps back, and we'll just see where we end up. Now, I do want to talk about, I mean, just the physical demands of Broadway obviously are gargantuan. Just going out there 8 times a week. Your show On Your Feet had you doing such a different style of dance and physicality and voice. And then something like Roxie is so iconic. You're doing the Fosse. How did you kind of inhabit this character in a new way? What was that process like for you?
The biggest thing was that I was extremely empowered by the creative team, because when I met with Walter initially about this, and I was honest with him, I was like, I've never seen the show on Broadway. And he was like, maybe that's a good thing, because you'll create it from your own perspective, and you won't be you know, trying to redo somebody else's version or trying to paint by numbers in any way. And he was in the rehearsal process with us. He built the show as if it was an original company, and pre-existing cast members had to relearn the show. And Greg Butler came in from all the way from LA to, you know, fill the spot for Anne, who of course is no longer with us. So I got very spoiled in this process, because I wasn't just thrown in like the regular replacement type of way. It still felt like we were building a new show. We had 3 full weeks. Well, I had 4 full weeks. The new kids had 4 full weeks, but the whole cast had 3 full weeks in a studio prior to moving into the theater. Like any other show, like when you're creating a show originally. So I'm very, very grateful that I got that time to like really discover, because usually it's like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. They just like inject people in, teach you with stage management and dance captain on your own for like a couple days, maybe a week, and then you jump into the show and kind of trial by fire, you know? So it was nice to get a full process of it. Also just because that's what I'm used to. But I'm also very, I don't know, I guess I bring it back to the courage of it all, because the experience that I had with On Your Feet and playing Gloria while Gloria was in the room, and knowing that everybody had a point of reference and would come into theater, knowing how she moves, how she sings, how she speaks, whatever. I had this very big responsibility to do that justice. So it's like nothing can scare me from that point forward, because then doing justice for this iconic role, and especially for me, in honor of Anne Ranking being the first one to do it since she passed away, is it's an equal responsibility, and it's something I'm familiar with. So I tend to be pretty hard on myself and very like detail oriented and whatnot, but they really did a great job of empowering me within the position itself. So like Rob Bowman, our musical director, for example, he was like, let's take up all the keys for the Roxie music. And I was thrilled, because I was like, okay, yes, let's do that. And so like, so it's been really special to have this iconic, legendary piece be tailored to what my strengths are. And you know, the first 3 days of rehearsal crying because of the dancing, and then like texting Greg Butler and being like, you know, with all due respect, like, trust me, I will get it. It'll eventually, like, I'm a repetition person, but I promise you, I'm stubborn and I will get these moves. So, so yeah, it's been a really big, like, unexpected blessing, really.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see you up there, because it's such a unique opportunity to, I mean, obviously the nature of the beast of a replacement is kind of trial by fire, but it really sounds like this is a reinvigoration too, just because it's an opportunity to revisit it in a new way. So I'm excited to see it myself, and for everyone joining us today to see you on stage as well. As a final question for you then, obviously our Backstage audience are kind of the working actors of the world, and creators hitting the audition room, kind of trying to follow in the footsteps of folks like you. So I'm sure you get this all the time, but what is that one piece of advice that you would give someone who dreams of Broadway, who dreams of doing theater of any kind, television of any kind? What is that wisdom you would impart?
I would say back yourself. No one can do that for you. No one will do that better than you. And there's only one of you. So So anything that you can bring to the table that is specifically yours and comes from any kind of place of truth, is irreplaceable. And I think a lot of times in this business, you're made to feel like you are replaceable. And sure, you know, there's always going to be somebody waiting in line. There's always going to be understudies and all these things. And everybody deserves to be where they're at. So if you approach it with humility, but enough confidence to back yourself, then you're kind of setting yourself up to win. And you have to be adjustable. And that's the thing about this career is like, it's a constant improv game. Like it's a constant yes and you have to understand yourself and listen to your body and be able to take care of yourself and be able to prioritize. Just last night, like, you know, if there's a choice between sitting at home and reading scripts versus going out, like sometimes you have to know when to choose which one and just back yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing your time with us today. I know that a Broadway schedule is a beast, so you're very busy, but this was great to get to know you a little bit. And congratulations again on landing this return to Broadway in Chicago. I'll be in touch. I'm excited to see you up there.
Yay! Okay, well, I cannot wait to see you in the house and all of the things. Thank you so much.
With everyone else. It's an exciting time. But stay well, stay healthy, and we'll talk soon. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.